It's important that all your tenants should have rental insurance. You cannot afford not to do that. It's very important. One thing you want to know is that CapEx can literally affect your cash flow. So you need to be careful. And if you have reserves, instead of you going into your operating income, that is the money you're collecting from the tenant to do those heavy items, you can go right into your reserves or your CapEx budget and use them to implement those things. That way you'll be able to have a sound cash flow. Does anybody have any question that you want to ask before I ask some questions that I've listed out for this webinar? If you have a question, you can type it in the Q&A session. I'll be open to answering them. And if you do not have, I have written out some questions that you might benefit from. Yeah. So what are some common budgeting mistakes that you might have? So there are some common budgeting mistakes when you're setting out your budget and it's not matching. Your budget is not just doing what it's supposed to do. So what are some common budgeting mistakes that you can have when you are overly optimistic on your rent growth? Somebody here raised their hand. Catherine, please, can you go ahead and ask your questions?
Okay, what I was trying to find out is, what do you do, or what would you suggest you do in a situation where you have a budget and one of your tenants goes in and has a washing machine hookup installed, and that ends up not only leaking but causing significant water to come into her unit and the unit below? The current property manager that was in charge called a restoration vendor instead of extraction. We ended up with a bill of $9,000 for those 2 units. And the comment was made when we questioned why we were having to pay that, because we have a part of our agreement with the property manager that anything over $2,000 was supposed to be approved. Now, this was a weekend. It was an emergency. They're asking us to, go ahead and absorb the entire amount. And if we don't feel like we should do that, then, basically we can seek another property manager. And they've been great. I mean, they really are very good. They've been a tremendous asset. How would you suggest navigating through something like that? Because this is 48 units, $9,000. It's not going to take you down, but it significantly impacts, your projections for that.
Exactly. Thank you so much for this question. These are real life issues. We face those type of challenges as well. But how we've been able to navigate that is because we have all our tenants having tenant insurance. So all our tenants will have their own personal insurance. Yes, the property. We have our own coverage. Like we have a premium insurance that covers the entire property. But we go as far as ensuring all our tenants have their own insurance. And if they don't have it, we have a partnership with a third-party vendor. We use risk release on ours. We enforce it on them. So when issues like that happen, so we've had a situation where we had a tenant just similar to yours, but has in a different circumstances. The tenant was, I don't know what she was thinking, because we found out that she wasn't drunk. I think she was sort of lost in thought, and she didn't know when she pressed the accelerator instead of pressing the brake, and she hit the wall of the building, and that unit cracked, and in short, that cost us almost $5,000. Yes. So in that case, it would have looked like we would have absorbed that type of cost, but no way, that was not going to happen. So what we did was we called a rental insurance company and we filed a report. It took us time. We used our money. Yes, true, so we used our money to do it, but we got reimbursed back by the insurance company. So that was how we navigated that. Another way you can navigate that, because sometimes there are limits to how much you can get from those rental insurance companies or things that might not fall under the scope. That's why you need to have coverages around. So aside from that rental insurance, another thing we do is we have a third-party vendor that also helps us with damages and rent. So our tenants will pay a token when they are coming in, and that token means that if they default their delinquencies, they don't pay us for some type of money, we evict them. The only way we are able to get the money from them is those tenants will need to be evicted. evicted, and we can get 2 months rent from them. So it might be a mix of applying everything together to get, especially if the money is a lot, for you to recoup that. But the renter insurance, it's important that all your tenants should have renter insurance. You cannot afford not to do that. It's very important, and it's another way of building other income. So if you have a third party vendor, they give it to the tenant for a particular amount, and you get a particular percentage for that as well. So that is another way you can build your other income, and as well as using them for issues like this that you have that cause a significant damage, you can also use them for it. And if it's something that was not a tenant per se issue, you can decide to file a claim on that for such issues as well. So there's really no reason why you should use your money in the long run. In the short term, yes, you have to use your money and quickly do those repairs, but you need to get reimbursed, and you can get reimbursed through those ways. And yes, another question is, what if the tenant leaves? The thing is, the renter insurance, as long as you file it as soon as that thing happened to them, is on file regardless of if the tenant leaves and all that. One thing I want you to know is that I prefer if we are the ones getting the renter insurance company to the tenants rather than theirs. We've seen some renter insurance companies that are not cooperative. One took us almost 2 years to recoup. It was very frustrating. Another one took us a few months to get back. But if they were from us, then that would not have been an issue. It would have been easy for us to recoup because we know the insurance company at the back end and all that. So those are things you need to look out for. Catherine, I don't know if I answered your question, and if you have another one, you can go ahead and ask.
That helps a lot. And I do have like a follow-up thought, because this is the LIHTC. It's the first LIHTC we've ever owned. And with LIHTC, the lower income housing tax credit, sometimes there's restrictions on additional things that you can charge. Do you have any idea if, that would impact this situation? Because
no, exactly. This is not on the tenant. This is on the insurance company. There is no property that you are not allowed to give the renter insurance. Either they get it themselves. The thing is, it might not come from you. The tenant can decide not to get a renter insurance from you. They can go and get their personal insurance. They need to just show proof of that insurance that they have. Or if they don't show proof, then you have to mandate it on them and put yours on them. So for low income, I have some low income housing that I run, and all our tenants, all of them have their renter insurance. Yeah, so there's no restrictions on that one. And don't forget, it's not the tenants paying the damages directly, it's the insurance company. All you want to do is to ensure that they have it, so that when things like that happen, you can ignite it and recoup your money back.
You're really protecting them. I mean, that's a good selling point, because they don't have the money to. Okay. All right. That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so yeah, we've done that. And also you can ask them if they choose to pay. Some tenants will tell you that they want to, because if they have claims on their insurance, it might affect them for the next property they're going to go to. So they might have an increased renter insurance. So some of them might want to avoid having those type of issues, and they'll say, okay, I'll pay it out of pocket. So you need to also ask them, do you want to pay out of pocket, or you want us to file a claim on it and all that? But you need to be careful with that, because if they say they want to pay out of pocket and they leave, that means the only way you can recoup it is from either you get it from a collection. And I tell you, getting a collector to get money from those people, it's literally very hard. So you might not want to consider that. You might still want to go that process of filing a claim with your renter insurance company while you are maybe working out a payment plan with them, because it's going to take time for you to get some monies out from the insurance company. But if you're working with them and maybe they start paying, you can decide to pause that process. But don't leave any stone untouched. And also have these companies that can help you for delinquencies and damages in case a tenant does not pay, and in case a tenant has some unpaid account on them and they've left or you've evicted them, you can recoup those monies from them. So we use that in PA. We have a third party that we partnered up with. It's like a bond insurance. The idea is it helps us reduce our delinquencies. So if a tenant is not paying, they will reimburse us the money from it. All the tenant needs to do is to pay a token as well for that to happen. So it just depends on you. There are many resources out there to protect yourself.
If they don't pay and they walk away and it's reported on their credit bureau, or, when you do your background search, does that go against them with future renting in properties?
Yes, it
Like, can
does
you?
count against them. Yeah, because it's going to affect their credit score. What we are saying, there's a trend going on in Dallas or in some other markets as well, I want to assume. People that have issues with their credit score, we are seeing property owners or property management company just bypassing that and saying, okay, your credit score is low, no problem. Just pay us deposit, maybe $500 deposit, and they'll bypass that. So it's kind of very tricky right now. We are seeing some frustration in the market that just spoiling their credit or messing up their credit might not be enough. They might be able to overcome that given the situation. Most owners want to fill up right now. Rents are flat and vacancies are high. And that is not just it's just maybe the economy and all that. Some people are going through a lot. So we are seeing vacancies higher. We are seeing rents flat. These are real issues. And if those things on board, you see some incentives for some owners or some property management to remove some layers of barriers that can help them improve the quality of tenants. We're seeing them taking them away or reducing those requirements. And yeah, so that's another thing you need to consider.
Okay, thank you. That was a very comprehensive answer.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so is there any other question from anyone? I'm going to ask myself 2 questions. And if I don't hear anything from anyone, we might just call it a day. But I hope this session, at least you're able to get 1 or 2 things from it. And if you're not able to get anything from it, you can watch the replay and see how this will benefit you later on. But the idea is for you to ask questions and for you to build up on your multifamilies. There's a question here that says, what tools or systems do you recommend for aligning your budget with your KPIs? The tools that I normally use are my property management tools. They've brought a lot of innovation to it. We have business intelligence, AI, helping out sort out those things. So those things can help you know when there are issues. So your software applications, that property management software applications, there are software applications that property management companies use. We have things like Afffolio, Resmin, Entrada, and so on and so forth. There are many. So these things have BI, business intelligence, attached to them, that rather than you doing the job of trying to trace where the problems are, with the business intelligence on those property management app, they can easily help you detect when your budget is not aligned with your KPI. It will send you a report to know that there's an issue somewhere and you know exactly where that is. One of the most important tools is your property management software. Then if you're like me, I like the spreadsheet and Excel, just putting them side by side. So that's what I also do. I bring my actual, that is how my property is currently performing as of today. I bring it here. I bring my budget, the budget I said I was going to achieve. I put them side by side and I start to trace, why is this higher than this? Just side by side. This is 100 and this is 80. Why is it $20 gap between both? So that is another way for you to do it. If you don't have access to a software, you can also do it with a spreadsheet by putting them side by side for you to understand exactly what that looks like. So that is one. How do you budget for CapEx projects without disrupting cash flow? So CapEx is one of the things that can affect your KPIs, that can affect your budget. One of the ways we're able to do that is at the beginning, when we are raising funds to close a deal, we raise for CapEx, not just for the CapEx, we also raise reserves so that in case anything happens, we can fall back on our reserve. One thing you want to know is that CapEx can literally affect your cash flow. So you need to be careful. And if you have reserve, instead of you going into your operating income, that is the money you're collecting from the tenant to do those heavy items, you can go right into your reserves or your CapEx budget and use them to implement those things. That way you'll be able to have a sound cash flow. One more question, if I don't get anything from anyone, this will be the last. And before we go to the last question, I would like to say, if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go right ahead to do that, because we have so many educative items there. And we also put our replay, all the replays of the Ask the Multifamily Expert that we've done in the past. Even these ones will also go in there. We have a playlist, so you can go from playlist to playlist, and I can assure you that this will help you. Guys, I won't lie to you. I did not spend money on education, on knowing all these things I'm doing until I became experienced in it. The only 4,000 plus I paid to be in any paid mentorship or whatever they call it, because only 4,000 I've paid in my life for me to be in a community of people of like mind. That was why I did it. So how was I able to build the knowledge was really from free webinars like this, free educations on YouTube. You have to be careful with that because not everybody knows exactly what they are saying. So free YouTube videos and all that, those educations were very, very important to me. And I also went ahead to practice. I didn't just leave it there. The knowledge for knowing sake. I went ahead to do it. So that was how I was able to build the kind of experience I have. So take advantage of that. Not everything is paid. But guys, guess what? We'll be launching our affordable paid platform where you can get your resources A to Z about multifamily. That is coming out. But the idea is we'll still continue with this thing that we're doing that is free, and you just need to take advantage of it and all that. I won't tell you. If someone is asking what community did I join, the reason why I'm not going to talk about that is, if you know already, that's up to you. But the reason why I don't want to talk about that is for you not to assume that you go there and get the same price. And no, I went there with an experienced knowledge already. So if you're a newbie, you cannot be treated in the same way because the idea is for you to get the knowledge. I went there with the intention and I told them, I'm coming here because of your community. Give me access to your community. So that's why I was giving that amount. But if you're going there as a newbie, it's 30,000. So you know. So yeah, this is not a question but a comment. It is good that you share your experience and knowledge in the videos you post online. Thank you so much, Amen. The educational with nuggets of information. I really appreciate the kind words. These things take us hours, time, and research because sometimes we need to go and do some diggings to find out data and information before we start posting. It's not easy, but when we see comments like this, it just makes us understand that we are doing the right thing. Thank you so much, Amen. The next one is from Pauline, and she says, wish we could drop some heart emojis here, Vivi. What you've been giving us for free is priceless. Thank you so much. And the reason is because someone else gave me this opportunity for free. So I'm passing it on and paying ahead to people like you. All I'm begging for you is take advantage of it. Don't just store it up as if you're storing up knowledge somewhere for you to use in God knows when, how many years to come, period. That's not the idea. The idea is get this knowledge and get in the game, because knowledge that is not enhanced or used will be lost. You don't want that to happen. So please, the earlier you get into it, look for people that will allow you to be a fly in the wall. That is another better way for you to learn. So if you can be a fly in the wall in situations like this, that will help. But don't forget, there are some conditions for that to happen. So the idea is I want people to also get to this level and take advantage of the resources that are there, and they are all free. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Can you help me understand what it means when a broker suggests buying down the cap rate? Okay, they're trying to tell you to buy down the interest rate, literally. So if they give you an interest rate of, let's say, 7%, you might be asked to pay some points to bring it down to maybe 6.2%. So yes, you can buy down your interest rate for that to happen. So buying down the cap rate, I normally don't hear that. What I normally hear is buy down your interest rate. And the reason is for you to get better rates, but it comes at a price. That's just it. So for Clayton, can you give me what context that was said to you? Because what we normally buy down is interest rate. I normally buy down interest rate to get better rates and maybe better leverage, that is better loan amount. So I might need maybe 8 million and they are giving me 7.6 million. And for me to get the 8 million, they will say pay 1 point of the loan amount. That means I need to pay 1 point of the loan amount for that to happen. It was told to help my cash flow. That is interest rate. If you buy it down, it will help you improve on your cash flow for real. So yes, that conversation is a long one because interest rate kind of affects cap rate. In short, not kind of, it does, because when you're buying down interest rates, what that means, you will be able to get more loan amount. That means more loan amount and lower interest rate. If you have lower interest rate, it means that your cash flow will be better. So compare an interest rate of 6.2% versus a 7%. That means for a 6.2% cash flow will definitely be better than a 7% cash flow. So that's what it is. It means that if you buy down your interest rate, it will help your cash flow perform better. It's literally that simple. But I normally don't take that bet until I've done my calculation, because if you look at it this way, if they tell you to buy down your interest rate, let's say your loan amount is 11 million and they tell you buy down your interest rate, right? For 1 point. 1 point is 1% of that loan amount. So 1% of that is 110,000. So for me to accept buying down my interest rate for 1 point, or let's say what is common is 2 points. That's what I'm saying lately. So 2 points. So 2 points is 220,000. Do you know what I would do? I will compare what my interest rate would be at the one without me buying it down and what my interest rate would be for the one I'm going to buy down. And what's the implication of the 220? So the question question is, am I going to save more than 220 if I buy down my rate compared to if I don't? If I'm not going to save that, then I might not buy down. Another thing is you might need to consider opportunity now than opportunity in the future. In a situation whereby maybe you want to raise less money and there's not much difference in whether you buy down or you don't buy down, I might consider not buying down because I have less money to put down on the deal. So I might consider not doing that. Like I said, Clayton, I don't want to confuse you more, but for me to say yes to a broker when he says, come and buy down your rate, what I will look out for is, am I better off not buying it in the long term? Because I'm looking at long term and my short term. So am I saving more not buying it in the long term, or am I saving more buying it in the short term? So on the deal I just closed, I had that question as well. They asked me to buy down 2 points versus 1 point. I bought down 1 point because I looked at my business plan. If my business plan was to hold the property for 5 years, I will buy 2 points because then it makes no sense for me to buy 1 point. But if the point was for me, to do a short-term hold on those property, then it's better for me to do the 1 point. So because it's a short-term hold for me, I did the 1 point. So those are questions. It's not one size fits all. Your next question is one last question. Can you help me understand what IRR is and why I should understand this ratio? I did a video about that, but IRR in simple terms, it's very, very confusing. So I'm not going to make it confusing to you. IRR is all the monies you've recouped. So let's say you invested 100,000 and you got this amount. Out of the 100,000, you got 30,000 for cash flow. So within 5 years, 30,000 came to you as cash on cash. And in 4 years or so, well, within that 5 years, you sold the property and you got another 70,000 or whatever that amount is within 5 years. And you still did that same property and you refinanced in 3 years. Your cash flow, you got your cash flow 30,000 within those 3 years, and you still got your entire money within those 3 years. It means that the one that you got the money in a shorter time will have a better IRR, because IRR looks at the time value of money. Literally, that's what it is. How soon am I going to get back all my returns? The shorter it is, the better the IRR. The longer it is, the worse the IRR. So are we saying that deals with lower IRRs are bad? No, it just depends on your preference. So people that are doing construction or build from scratch type of project, because we have some investors that are interested in new builds, those ones have a very long short IRR, and that is because we take them time to recoup. Sometimes it can take them 10 years to get back their investment plus all the returns that were promised. So those ones, if you are in that kind of category, you should go and watch my video when I talked about returns and the risk. It depends on the risk. Let me point that video out to you. It's very important. Go watch it on YouTube. You will definitely understand it. It just depends on your risk preference. That's when you know what kind of IRR suits you. So for the fact that IRR is low does not mean that it's a bad deal. It just depends on the type of risk you want to expose yourself to. So go and watch this video on my YouTube, Multifamily Payout Secrets. Go watch it. Look out for where I spoke about your risk preference. So if you're someone that you have a fix and flip mindset, subconsciously you'll be looking for IRRs that are high. But if you're this type that you're a long game player, you like to stay in it as long as it's producing cash flow for a long time, then you might not care about IRR. Rather, you care about ARR. ARR is how much in a year are you getting? Your annual average returns. How much is it? That's what you'll be concerned about. So it just depends on who you are and your preference. I think that is all for today. We have answered some questions. Thank you guys for asking questions. Thank you all for your time, and I enjoyed the questions, and I hope this was educative to you. Thank you and have a wonderful day.